Hello again, everyone. This is Louis Setti speaking as the Blue Ridge Reporter. On Wednesday, March 13, 2012, a story appeared today that has significance regarding the Federal Reserve, the collusion that can occur among the Federal Reserve and the major banks, and how that might all unfold to the detriment of the American taxpayers and even stockholders in some of the banks that may be involved, if we can extrapolate from the little bit of the story we've seen so far. And here it is. The Federal Reserve is fighting a subpoena being issued in a lawsuit for Bernanke, chairman of the Federal Reserve, to testify at a trial that is now going on in court. And the trial involves the Bank of America. The litigant, complainant, is a group of shareholders, and they are claiming that the president of the Bank of America at the time knew that Bank of America had major losses on its books, but allegedly withheld that information from the shareholders and the public so that it could acquire Merrill Lynch, the stock brokerage company. After that acquisition was completed, then the billions, with a B, billions of losses that the Bank of America was facing was revealed to the public, and thereafter the Federal Reserve provided for the Bank of America a $20 billion bailout. And the purpose of the subpoena is to ask Bernanke, who had discussions with the former bank president before the bailout money was provided, what that bank president might have said about his awareness of the losses that the Bank of America was facing, whether or not the Bank of America was facing such losses, which would be supported by any statement that the bank president made to Bernanke regarding that allegation. So this is a way to help the shareholders determine and prove, according to their allegations, that the bank president withheld his knowledge of the existing losses at the time the firm was going to acquire another company, Merrill Lynch, which might make things even worse. So that'll be an interesting case to follow, to see whether or not the subpoena will be quashed, because that is what the Federal Reserve is attempting to do. They don't want the chairman to be subpoenaed and have to testify under oath. If he does testify under oath, it'll be curious to find out what he says about what the bank president knew. It would also put Bernanke in a tough spot, because if he says at some point, the bank president didn't say anything to me about losses of a major scale, but let's suppose that the bank president at some point is a target of an investigation. Not to say this is going to happen, but theoretically, if it were to happen, and he made a deal with federal prosecutors for a lighter sentence to contradict what Bernanke said under oath, and therefore substantiate a potential perjury charge against the chairman of the Federal Reserve. If, in fact, the president of Bank of America was hiding information, and the chairman of the Federal Reserve knew about that, in any situation where the chairman of the Federal Reserve must testify under oath about that conversation or any conversations with the bank president, he's got two choices. One, reveal to the authorities what the bank president said, and thereby putting into a very bad light the dealings of the major banks with the Fed, or two, lying about what the bank president might have said in actuality about the massive losses and saying, no, he never said such things, and thereby exposing himself to a potential perjury charge if the bank president turns against him at a later point. Of course, all this may have no meaning. Perhaps the bank president didn't know about the major losses that the Bank of America faced, or if he did, he didn't say anything at all to the chairman of the Federal Reserve, although one must wonder why $20 billion went from the Fed to the Bank of America without any reference as to when these losses were apparent. The takeover of Merrill Lynch occurred in 2008, and the Bank of America was granted the money from the Fed before the close of 2009, not a great distance in time. So if Bernanke was talking to the president and saying, why do you need this money? What would the president say? Well, the losses just cropped up in the last 2 months. In any event, this will be an interesting case to watch, and it could be the beginning of a very significant legal story. At this point, these are all allegations, of course. This is Louis Setti speaking, the Blue Ridge Reporter.